welcome to Collective Minds Global, here for episode one of the Full Circle interview series. And I am so excited because we have AGenius, rapper, songwriter, and Houston native here with us today for our first ever episode. Thank you so much for coming by and talking to us about your journey, about where you've been, and most importantly, where you're going. So thank you so much for that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all, man. This is a blessing, you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that being a Houston native, you've been around for a while. Tell me a little bit about the projects that you've worked on in the past that you are excited or your accomplishments.
Well, let's take it back. In 2000 is when I really got into it professionally. Like I got in with Lil Kiki and worked on his project after Don't Mess with Texas. So I did a couple tracks on there, rapped on there, and that was my real introduction to the real rap game, you know. Because before then, you know, it was karaoke machines and all that.
Yeah.
And then I had, yeah, you know, so. And then I had a friend that we kind of started together. His name was Big Pat.
And that was
You know, his dad died in an explosion at the plants, and he had got some money, so he invested in equipment. And we went to Miami. How can I be down and all that? We had a deal on the table actually back then. But some people, you know, when you're in a group, it's kind of hard when you know, other people do go one direction, you go the next direction. So, you know, so then I got with Kiki and started mashing on, and I started doing beats for other people and developing relationships with other people, and then, you know.
So how old were you when all of this started, when you started rapping?
Man, when I started, I can actually say it was probably about 16, but then I wasn't even at that time. It was a guy named Chris Kennard, and I got to show love to him because I couldn't even rap. You know, they had a group already, and then they was writing raps for me to say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it started like that, and then I kind of like, you know, I'm a prideful person. I'm like, nah, I got to write my own, you know, business. I can't be having nobody write my raps. So that's where it all started, and then, you know, developed the skill, and then my boy that I was rapping with, Big Pat, he was like, one day we was doing, I was like, make some beats. He was like, you make some beats. I'm like, shit, all right. So I got on the thing, and you know, guess God blessed me with that talent. You know, that's some people don't never discover. You know, they go through their whole life not knowing what their purpose in life is.
True.
And I'm glad that God blessed me to see what my purpose is, because there's no way that I should be able to get on here and make these tracks and do this rap thing in my mind and put it together, you know, without no formal training or nothing like that.
So at what point did it go from I'm just hanging out with my friends, you know, making music, having fun, to this is my purpose, this is what I want to do, and I'm serious about it? Like, what did that transition look like?
Well, it actually came about like when, because I had moved to Austin, you know, just like everybody
I'm from
else.
Austin.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what's up. So Austin was my second home at one point in time in that time period. So, you know, it was just like I had some situations going on, you know, some legal stuff. So I left Houston, went to Austin for a little while, just trying to lay low and chill. And then, come on, man, don't put me out there like that. But basically, so I went down there to Austin. Then I came back for the weekend, and I went to the studio, the Big Pat's house, and they was like, the Kiki had a group called Mall Figures. And at that time, they were like, you know, they was like his young guns. And I've been, like, we came up together. We'd be, you know, at McGregor Park, smoking our little stuff and be out there with our little radio and freestyling and stuff. So they already knew I had it. So he heard a song called Shops and Bops over there at Big Pat House. And when I came back, they was like, man, Kiki looking for you. And then from that point on, I went to the studio. I'll never forget it. I went to the studio, and this when the Herschelwood Hardheads album was coming out. And they was having a release party, and it was just like, you know how people picture it in the movies, like I came to the studio, they had the limo, I got in the limo with him and all that.
You had the full service.
Right. So it was like, and you know, I idolized him, you know what I'm saying? Because he was, in my era, he was like, you know, a big deal, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, well, Kiki, you want to mess with me? Like, man, that's crazy, you know what I'm saying? So from that point on, I was like, oh, it's on. This is what it is. You know, that's because some people never get that that cosign of where they
Yeah,
like
that affirmation.
that affirmation
Yeah.
of like, yeah, this is really legit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And it lets you know what's possible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Definitely,
So,
and that's really important.
mm-hmm.
So since then, I mean, as an artist, how would you say that you've grown the most when you look back and see,
Mm-hmm.
where you started from to where you are now? I mean, what would you say is the biggest growing point for you?
Well, what I could actually say the biggest growing point is like actually learning who you are as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a lot of artists that don't have no identity.
Yes,
You
and
know?
it shows.
It does.
It shows because they'll have one type of music at one point, and the
Mhm.
next album, the next, it's something totally different. And
Right,
it's not
right.
consistent.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think what you said is key because for anyone who operates in any profession that requires you to be creative, you cannot create under pressure.
Right.
Like when you are worried about finances, family, kids, everybody, you got things pulling at you. It's so hard for you to go into the studio and do what you need to do because you got to filter through so much stuff.
Exactly.
So doing it when the time is right, it makes all the difference. Your
Right.
music is different.
Exactly, and I feel that too. Like when I go into the studio, and then shout out to my boy Greg T. Man, I send him a lot of the music because he's like Lord. He's a critic. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's like Siskel and Ebert around
Those are
here,
the best
man.
ones. Those are the best ones
so
to be around.
when I send it to him, and I get the thumbs up from him,
Yeah.
I know I got something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when most of the music I've been sending to him, he been giving me the thumbs up. So I know I got something, and then it's just been coming out like the best music of my life, and I can't wait to release it to let the people hear it, and it's gonna be crazy. I'm telling you.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, I know. See, I'm most of an R&B type chick. I do love R&B, but when I go to rap, it's for a specific purpose. I'm looking for something.
Right.
And most of the time is when I'm chasing the bag and I'm tired. I don't feel like doing it. So I need that motivation to get back in that mindset.
Right.
And I was listening to your song. You got me fucked up.
Right.
That one.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, this is what I listen to, and it's 2:00 in the morning. And I want to go to sleep. But I'm like, you got to stay focused, right? What is it when you're putting out music? Like, how do you want your listeners to feel? Like, what do you want to inspire in them?
Man, well, my whole thing is, my whole thing about music and my style is like reality music. It's like, because if you think about it, okay, you think about the population of people. It's more population of people that can get up and go to work 9 to 5 than it is people out here trapping.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So my whole thing is, I got love for the people trapping, you know what I'm saying? Because, I done been in that situation. And I got love for the people that work, so I make sure that I reach all areas, you know what I'm saying? Because the reality of it is, if you get up at 3 or 4 o'clock to take your son to the daycare, then you got to be at work by 7. Then when you get off, you got to go pick him up at 4. Then you got to go home and make sure he got something to eat. And
It's
then
still a hustle.
It's a hustle. You know
It's
what I'm
still a
saying?
hustle.
So that's why I try to reach out and tune in to more to the everyday people, because they're the ones who really need this message. If you out there trapping and you got money, that's your deal. But I want to really touch into people who going through the everyday struggle, the everyday people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, so that's my thing, the everyday people. And that's why I like with that song, it's like, y'all got us fucked up. We gonna get this paper till we dead,
Exactly.
come up, one way or another. We all trying to get to success, and your success might be different than mine. His might be different, but we all want to get to that place in life to where we're comfortable financially, mentally, and physically, and everything is good in our life with that peace,
Right.
So.
And it's so unique for rappers to be able to do that, because not everybody can make music that speaks to everybody, especially when it comes to rap.
Yeah, most
and
definitely.
The fact that you're able to do that, it stops you from kind of pigeonholing yourself and being only to speak to one type of audience.
Right.
So I definitely love the fact that, I can listen to it even though I'm not in the streets like that. I'm just not. But be honest about it.
Right.
But it can still motivate me to do what I have to do on a daily basis.
Right.
So I love that.
And one of my favorite songs is a song called I Don't Know, produced by Bambino. Shout out Bambino. But the song is like you never hear a rapper talking about he got played. You know what I'm saying? And that's the whole premise of that song is like I gave you the world, but you still play me. And that's real life. You know what I'm saying? Because I know plenty of dudes that got a lot of cash, and they have women,
Ain't gonna say nothing about
yeah,
it.
yeah, you know that you don't hear no
Right.
rapper talking about that type of shit, man.
Right.
So it's just like, hey, shit, man, we men go through shit too. You know what I'm saying? We get played, we get messed over. A girl go cheat on us, or she go do whatever, she go take the advantage of the situation. So that's why I say everyday situations, man.
Right.
You got to be. As an artist, you have to be vulnerable and let people in on your life and the things, situations you've been through. And every man that been played. If a dude say he ain't been played, he lying his ass off.
Yeah, he's lying.
You know what I'm saying? He lying. Every man that been through that. You know
now
what I'm saying?
I mean, that brings to mind the video you just released. Tell us about that.
Well, that is actually, and I love that song actually. And how it came about is crazy. I'm gonna tell you about that first. I have a friend named Tron, and we work out together. And he was on his way to Cali, and then I was like, well, shit, man, let's in my mind state. I've been doing a lot of music, but I'm just trying to strategize on what let my next move be my best move. So
right.
I was like, well, okay, well, I'm gonna start transferring my game over to California, So he was talking about going to Cali, so I was like, man, I'm gonna go to Cali at the same time, So this was my first time on trying to do some business in the music type of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna go with somebody who's familiar with the scene. So, and then at the same time, I think the Oscars was going on, so we was like, good deal. We'll go down here, hang out.
That's a good time to go.
Right. So we went. We stayed to Beverly Hills, and everything was cool. So when we were going, he brought up the situation. He was like, why don't you get some studio time and record a song down there? I was like, okay, cool. So I called and found a studio, set up some time, recorded the song. And at the time, I was like, it's cool. But when we came back, it was like, I started, kind of
shopping it.
Yeah, just really just shooting it out to people that I know with influence, and then the feedback on it was like crazy, like you know what I'm saying. And shout out to my boy Oliver, he took it to the address, and Hot C played it in the address, on a Sunday prime time.
Yeah.
And, for a DJ to spend something at the address, the address on Sunday prime time. So, and we grammed it because they was backed up, him and MC Bees, they backed up, fired up to it, So I was like, man, we got something here. And then of course, Greg T, he gave me the thumbs up. So I was like, okay, that's cool. So we was like, okay, so now we got the song, we get rave reviews. Let's go to Cali, shoot the video, So we went back down there, got Sunday Carter from the Basketball Wives. We hit up, got her on. She came through, showed love, we shot the video, and it was just, man, it was great how everything just
came together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely, it's a sexy song. It's a sexy video. I absolutely now see that's definitely me because I love, the rap that I can. It's also R&B.
Right.
And I can listen to it, in the comfort of my own home.
Right. Right.
But it speaks to your versatility.
Right.
And when you can make those sexy songs, especially for women, I love that. I absolutely loved it. And it was an awesome video. It looks good.
I appreciate it. And that's my whole thing. I want to make sure we always have quality work from the music to where it's sounding like it's supposed to sound. And even the videos are like clean, they professional. They're not, like, I mean, Yeah,
you do quality. That's all we. That's all we have to know is that AGenius does quality.
Right,
that's,
there you
that's
go.
All
There you go. At the end of the day, man, we got a standard around here.
It has to. You have to have a standard. That's very, very important. And again, that's something else that sets you apart.
Right.
Because not everybody does that.
Right. I mean, how many rappers from Houston that not on a major scale?
The grainy videos.
Right.
With
or they even go to California and shoot a video.
Yeah.
And then I just came back a few weeks ago and shot another one that we about to drop. So it's just we trying to separate ourselves. Like Houston is my city. I love my city and I rep that everywhere I go.
Right.
But we just trying to separate ourselves from the pack down
Got you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And it's a very exciting time for anyone from Houston putting out music because you have so many other people right now.
Right.
You have Toby. You have Lizzo.
Right.
Other rappers who are coming out. I mean, saying that they're from Houston. So it's like I feel like the spotlight is on Houston now.
Right.
which is awesome and great for you because you can also come in and say, hey,
Right.
this is my piece.
Right.
Now,
Most
one thing I
definitely.
do find interesting, which I didn't see it, but I've heard feedback that people mistake your voice, your
Right.
rapping voice, for another
Man.
Houston rapper.
Man, yeah, and that's crazy. But and you know the thing about it is why a lot of people, even my family,
Really?
yeah, my family will be like, and it's crazy because it just happened to be the other day. My family was, I haven't seen them in a while, and we was talking, and they were like, "Yeah, I heard you on the radio." I was like, you know, and they
Right,
do,
right.
everybody does that.
Really?
You know, but the thing is like me and that person, like honestly, like when I was doing this thing with the first guy I started with, Big Pat, like we actually worked in the studio before he became this big icon or whatever in the city. We worked together in the studio. We sat in my boy's truck. He had a truck, and we would sit out there because we was recording at the same studio. So we kind of like vibed and, you know, built a bond. But that was, you know, years ago. Of course, you know, people move on and do their thing. But I just think it's really because of the voice. You know what I'm saying? We both have deep voices, you know, and then we do that kind of singing thing a little bit. But his is more, you know, his singing is more like, you know, he does a real singing. I just really like, you know, just do just some humming. Like he really do some singing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, people always say that, and I'll be like, you know, even like when people like I have guys that you know that are in the streets and they fuck with a lot of people and they'll be out moving around and they'll be like, man, everybody get in my car, I let them hear this, and they deal with a lot of people because they in the street, you know, so they'll be like, man, a couple of people was like, man, that sound like, you know, that's such. I was like, but you know, hey, it's all good. I'm me. And once people really start hearing more of the product, and then they'll hear the difference, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely, that's awesome. Like I said, I didn't hear it,
Yeah.
but that's what other people
Right. Yeah.
have
Look,
been saying.
Yeah, I hear it all the time. You know what I'm saying?
Now, I know one of the things that's unique about, I guess, where you are now versus where you were when you started is social media.
Right.
Like being relevant on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, every platform that you can think about. I mean, how does that affect what you got going on right now?
Yeah, and that's the thing about the game that's crazy to me now is about like you can have some trash. I'm talking about BFI music. You know what I'm saying? Waste management music. But you would get on Instagram doing some fool ass shit.
Yeah, I've heard it.
You know what I'm saying? And then there you get 1 million followers, and then you know that makes you popping. You know what I'm saying? You know, but I mean it's just the way of the world today. So I mean, you know, we just gotta rock with it. But I would never get on social media and do no fool shit. You know what I'm saying? That just ain't me. You know what I'm saying?
And that goes back to what you were saying earlier about knowing who you are as an
Right,
artist.
yeah, most definitely.
People will definitely step out of character for the gram.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whatever's going to get me a like, whatever's going to get me a follow.
Exactly.
And being authentic as an artist is so important. Because then you attract the followers who actually buy your stuff, show up to shows, and support you genuinely.
Exactly.
Definitely. Who would you say, if you telling the people, who would you say AGenius is? What can we expect from you?
Man, I'm just a person that's, I'm just the everyday guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like a guy that you would want to go and have a drink with at the club.
Yeah.
I'm a dude that you would want to, you know, go and, you know, go work out with. I'm just your everyday dude. I'm not nobody special just because, you know, a lot of times I be swaggy and I be icy and all that, but I'm still a regular dude, you know.
Yeah.
I'm still a regular guy, you know. I'm cool because I understand that I understand from coming from the bottom and working your way to get to where you need to be. It's a struggle, so I understand the struggle. So, you know, that's why I can connect with people. And I wouldn't care if I had $2 trillion right now. I would still be the same person, you know.
Yeah.
And that's a fault too, because I'm a loving person, and you know what I'm saying, I attach to people that show themselves valuable to me and loyal to me. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
And I can only imagine because, I mean, in your profession, people just flock to you, period. And it's this constant thing where you have to kind of weed out who's for me, who's not for me.
Exactly.
And the reality is that more people want more from you than what they're
Right.
actually willing to provide.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. I mean, it's people that come around and they want to be around you and they want to enjoy the ride, but then they don't want to. If you tell them, hey man, I need you to do blase blah this and that. I need you to do this and that, and they be like, damn, this food tripping, man. But damn,
Let me get back to you.
Right, we just all went to the club, got in free, got a section, had two or
Yeah.
three bottles and this and that, and you
Yeah.
ain't even pay $1.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you don't want to do nothing for it. You just want to take the ride.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's females
Right.
too. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Yeah. So it's just like man, let's it's a movement that we got going and things that we doing, and we coast to coast doing this. So it's like, hey man, if you want to be down with this, then let's add something to the pot.
Add
you know
value.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't take away. Add something to it, man, because we need everything we can at this point in time.
Right.
Because we spiking, but we need some help to go on and get all the way up the ladder. Because you can't do it, and that's why I struggled for so many years. Is because for the simple fact that when I was going through that up and down, I didn't have the monetary things to be able to put things into place. And in Houston, oh man, Houston is a city to where they love anything that's popping.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? If you're not cracking, then they not trying to,
Yeah.
really rock with you. I done seen them. I went to a Beyonce concert. Well, not a Beyonce. It was I think it was a Destiny Child or something at the rodeo a while back. And I remember that because it amazed me to see people just stone face. And I'm like, it's Beyonce. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like people in Houston, man, the climate in Houston is like, okay, say right now.
It's tough.
Yeah, I can go do a show right tonight at the address, and people will be sitting there listening to me. Let me go to LA next week and say I done signed a deal.
Yep.
And they play the song on the radio a week straight. Man, this finna be crazy.
Yeah. Same
My phone
music.
finna go crazy.
Right.
Everything finna go crazy. Social media, it's just crazy. When I've been the same person, been doing the same music thing, and certain people, that is in position to really rock with me and help me get to where I need to go. They kind of just went on their way and kind of just sitting there watching. But I keep on watching because we got something going
keep
right
watching.
now.
And I'm telling you, that's why I like that song. You got me fucked up.
Right.
Just keep watching. Just stay
for
tuned
real,
in.
for real. And that relates back to what I was saying about the music that I do, because everybody feels like like they the underdog. When you out here in this world, you know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's not easy in this world. So everybody feel like they gotta make a move and prove what they got going on. You know what I'm saying? To whoever it is in your life. It don't have to be no people in the streets. It could be your son, your daughter, your mom, your dad, your whoever. You know what I'm saying? You just want to prove a point and make something happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah. So it's just like, that's why I'm like, man. That's why I'm like, man. That's who I speak to. The people that's out here living that regular life, because there's more people doing that. You know what I'm saying? Than out here trapping. Like you could have a Jeezy, which is, I love Jeezy. Like I can go to a club, they can play Jeezy all night. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm rocking. You know what I'm saying? But you put J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar over here on this side. You put Jeezy over here. J. Cole going to that Toyota Center.
Yeah.
Jeezy going to that Revention or something like that. And there's no knock to him.
No,
but I'm just saying.
you have to be able to speak to the masses.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's a small demographic of people that's trapping.
Very small.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's why that's just my lane. I choose to speak to these type of people, even though I have been in that lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? But that's just a small part of my life. You know what I'm saying?
I'm curious, what would you tell the younger rappers who are just now starting their career, because I know that this is a profession that's very hard to stay focused in because you have so many distractions.
Right.
What would you tell them, some things to be weary about coming up or chasing that dream?
I would just tell them, like, I have a group of young people that I talk to on a regular basis. And one of them is the Slight team, man. I gotta holler at them because, and I met them on a whim. I met one of their members on a whim. I was out one night, and I guess my aura just perceived me, and he was like, "Man, you do music?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I kind of ran down to him a little bit after the club was over with, and then he was like, "Man, give me your information." So he DM'd me this and that, and we just chop game up time to time. And what I told him, I'm gonna tell you is like, you can't especially if I put this to Houston young artists because this is the city that where I'm from, and I'll give all the love to. Is like you can't get caught up in this Houston-based music scene because I remember a time when it really was a scene, like when they had a distributor called Southwest Wholesale, and they was like, they kept the game relevant in Houston because you can go to them and they would distribute your music, give you a little check or whatever, this and that, and then they'd put your stuff out to the masses.
Right.
But when that dissolved, it kind of like took us back to grassroots unless you already had a name.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I would tell them to don't get caught up in the Houston scene because, me going back and forth to LA a lot now, I see the appreciation of the underground artist scene is different. Like down here, I know a lot of blood suckers, you know what I'm saying, that, we doing a showcase and this and that, but you're not really getting no exposure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? All you doing is lining their pockets, you know what I'm saying? You paying to get in there, you paying $300, $400, $500 to get in there, then you got to sell 15 or 20 tickets. So, and then when you go there, it's nobody but you and your friends, the next artist and their friends, the next artist and their friends. So you're not really making no traction. You know what I'm saying? You're just spinning your wheels. So I advise them to stay on that social media, grind on there, and then just move around to different cities.
Gotcha.
You got to move around. You can't sit in Houston and feel like you go blow in Houston because it's a small box of people that has made it in Houston that hasn't had a movement behind them.
Right.
A la Swisher House, a la Screwed Up Click, a la Sauce TSF, It's very few artists that have made it without that, that thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's very true. That's great advice, though. Because we get stuck in our comfort zones. And sometimes your comfort zone is Houston, and so that's where you want to focus your energy. But the world is so much bigger than that.
Exactly. Man, I know so many talented artists and so many young talented artists, and me and Greg, we always talk about it because that's our whole goal, honestly, is to, you know what I'm saying, because I'm really an OG in the game. So my whole thing really is to just set this path, going to LA, set this path, and then open the door, and then let them, the little young dudes that I know that are super talented, run with it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because the little dudes I know, they do it and they dangerous. Like the whole world should hear them. But they getting that money in another direction. So they like, shit, I ain't even going to no studio. I'm finna go get this bread. You know what I'm saying? And I can't knock them for that. You know what I'm saying? Because you go to the studio and you just doing dope music and nobody really has no idea what to do. What's the next step to it? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's why, and I feel like that's why our city is behind because, and I remember Power Wow put a post up a long time, well, not a long time ago. It's probably been a few months or maybe a year or two. He put up that we need more CEOs and less rappers. And that's what we do.
Understand the business part.
That understand the business part. Yeah, we have a lot of artists, but we don't have a lot of people that are educated in the business of music.
And I would say the people who are educated in the business and have a positive vested interest in the artist, because you've seen it time and time again where the people who do understand the business are taking advantage of the artist.
Right.
Definitely.
Most definitely. I mean, but honestly, and that part of it is it's part of the game. You know what I'm saying? It's just like you may go to college or whatever, but when you go get your first job, you're not gonna get everything that you went for. You feel like you're supposed to get $50 an hour, but no, you're not gonna get that right out the gate. You gonna get this, and then you're gonna have to work up too.
That's true.
So when you get that first deal, or you get on, your first thing is not gonna be everything you want it to be. So, but it's just part of the game, and it's just good to get in that lane and have exposure to make it and be able to take care of your family
Right.
off of what you really love to do.
True. So what are you looking forward to? What projects do you have in the works? What can we expect to see next?
Yeah, well, right now I'm working on. Well, I'm basically finished. I'm just tying up some loose ends, you know. And me and my publicist people, shout out to Collective Minds Global. We were trying to tie up loose ends on that, on the publishing and all that. And but it's called Only the Real Can Relate because I feel like it crosses all lines. You know, you could be 65 and feel it, and you can be 18 and feel it because
Gotcha.
it's just real talk, you know. And then what made me say that is because some of the studios I record in, like it'll be like youngsters that's there, and then they listen to it, and then when I come out from dropping the vocals or whatever, and I see them like repeating and this, and these are young. They listen to hey,
Right.
hey, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And when they feeling it, then that just let me know. And then there's no knock to that because shit, I love Young Thug, and Gunna is my favorite young rapper right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's no knock to that because I rock with that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying when you hear the younger generation, 18, 19, 20, 21, they rocking and they like, you know, they telling me, and I'm like, so to me it's just like only the real can relate. So that's why I named that to my put that title under my project because it just crosses. You know what I'm saying? If you are real, and it ain't, I hate that word, and I hated to do that because I hate that word real. You know what I'm saying? But
we can use authentic.
Right,
authentic. Because at the core of it, no matter what you do, no matter what business you're in, you will always be more successful if you can be authentic. Because I can relate to what's real in you.
Right, exactly.
But if you putting on a front, if you're not being honest and you're not showing the truth about what's going on with you, then I'm gonna listen to it and be like, okay, that was cute, and keep going.
Exactly.
You know?
And that's how I feel like my music is coming out today. Like, you know, a lot of right now we have a lot of that older, younger generation type of shit going on.
Yeah,
but I feel like on my project, I'm speaking from like when you hear Jay-Z, you hear like Big Homie talking. And that's how I'm doing my shit. I'm not like knocking what the younger generation doing, but I'm on some Big Homie shit. Like, you know, like think about what you're doing. Like me and Greg T just did a song, you know what I'm saying, called Faith, and it's on the part of the verse is just like, you know, you'll go kill somebody just to prove that you tough.
Right.
But then when that judge hit that gavel on you and say life, then you up there crying. You a killer. Right? You a killer, right?
Yeah.
Why you up there crying? You already knew when you kill this man what was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like that's why I'm saying I'm on some Big Homie shit. Like think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
One move can cost you the rest of your life, and then killing somebody over a $300 bottle of fake serve or a pound of weed, $1,500, whatever it is.
It ain't worth it.
It ain't worth it for the rest of your life. And you probably got 1 or 2 kids and a mama that love you. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not worth it. So it's just on some Big Homie shit. Like just think about what you're doing, and then you know how I just evolved through my life because I was young and dumb at one point too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I thought I was bulletproof, invincible. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, want to get to the money bad. I wanted the chains. I wanted the watches. I wanted all this shit. You know what I'm saying? Before it was time for me to even get to that point, you know what I'm saying? So, and that's the problem they have too. They want to get it now. But it's a process, man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't nobody want to go through the process.
Nobody want to go through the process. The process is not fun.
It's not.
It's not glamorous.
It's not. The process is not glamorous. But at the end of the day, when you go through that process, you appreciate that shit way more. I'm telling you, because I done seen, like, growing up and being into this music scene, I had a lot of dudes that had money that was around. I had dudes that was just give me $1,000 and be like, because you know you have all these hoods in Houston. You know I'm from the south side of Houston, so you have a lot of dudes in Houston. At that point in time, they had money, and like I said, that Southwest Wholesale was like the main distributor, so they knew if they go get Kiki, Pokey, all these people, and they take this album to Southwest Wholesale, that they was gonna get a check and they were gonna put it out, people's go buy it. So I remember times when people would give me $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, $500, and oh yeah, I want to get a beat from you. Just just to say they was doing something,
Right,
and never
right.
would get shit from me. You know what I'm saying? And they would see me in the streets and be like, "Hey man, I still need to get that beat from you." I'd be like, "Okay, shit, whenever you ready, hit me." But they just want to be a part of the movement. You know what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? So it's just crazy, man, how this music shit just, man. But I love it though.
So
It's
your
in my
next
heart.
project is done.
Yeah, my next project is basically done. We just tying up loose ends, and hopefully by, I would say probably by the first of the year, we'll go on and drop it and put it out. And we got, like I said, I just came back from Cali. We did
Mm-hmm.
another video, called Fresher Than Me, produced by my boy Pug Tunes. Man, I got to shout out to him because that boy, that's a monster.
Yeah.
And we just shot that video, and it's done, edited, ready to go. So we gonna do probably another one or two videos, and then by the time the new year, top of the year come, go ahead and drop the project,
Okay.
and have a big release party and all that, and we gonna go and rock out, like we've been doing, and we gonna continue doing. We just doing this shit on a larger scale,
Yeah.
and it's about me now. I'm just so
Right.
happy it's about me.
Yeah.
Cause I've been just like, I've been like like a shooter. You know what I'm saying? Like, get him. I'm like, I'm going off. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's my time now, and I just appreciate the process of going through everything. You know what I'm saying? Just a seeing and being that guy, being loyal to certain situations, and then they don't pan out like you expect them to. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's fault.
Right,
Nobody's
right.
at fault of it. It's just sometimes shit just happens. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, I appreciate the process, man, because it turned me into a monster. I'm telling you.
Yes. And that's what the process is for.
Oh yeah, and they don't even know. They don't even know who they created because
Right.
we don't even get into, like, now. I still talk to certain people that been through the process with me, but I don't even display that because I'm like, I'm over here on my little shit, like, ooh,
Just wait.
just wait. We ain't don't need to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah.
You on the social media, you see. I know they be creeping on them because like, honestly, like, and it's crazy. Like on Instagram, if you put a story up, you can see everybody who watching. So I purposely
I
put
do
shit
that all the
on the regular timeline
yeah.
just so they like, okay, I can look at this because he ain't gonna see I'm watching.
Right.
Yeah, I do that shit on purpose. I
Yeah.
want them to see.
Let them
because-
see.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
making moves, man. And I know they watching. I
Yeah.
know they watching. I know
Yeah.
they watching. But it's all good. They can do whatever. And it's no hate. It's all love to everybody. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate it, man.
Well, that's awesome. I appreciate you for going through the process because I think, I didn't know you back then, but I can just tell your whole aura and
Oh,
everything
yeah.
you have. I mean, you're definitely in a place where you feel like it's right.
Oh, yeah. most
And you
definitely.
you can feel that from people when
Oh,
it's
yeah.
genuine, when it's authentic, and that means that your music is going to be phenomenal
Oh, yeah,
because of it.
most
So
definitely.
thank you for going through the process.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
also love the fact that you're giving back and you're helping the guys coming
Oh,
after
yeah,
you because
most
they definitely need it.
Oh, yeah. Most
So,
definitely.
Thank you for being a part of the first ever episode of the Full Circle interview series.
Oh, yeah.
Your feedback has been awesome, and we're happy to support you, and we're happy that you're supporting us.
Oh, most definitely. I appreciate y'all, and we're going to continue rocking, man.